Good evening, everyone. I'm very happy to be with you, obviously broadcasting from San Francisco. We have an overcast sky, and I don't want to show you the view because it's not quite the same as Paris, and I just watch the ocean from here. And talking about ocean, I want to thank the Blue Award organization and thank you for the honor of receiving this prize. And it's extremely meaningful to me because actually, Blue Ocean Strategy is one of the books that I read and reread regularly, and that has been inspiring me over the past 15 years. I actually became aware of the framework of Blue Ocean much before the book was printed, because I was on a course at INSEAD in 2000 and got a course from Chan Kim, and he already introduced the concept. Obviously, the book didn't exist then, but I still have my course from INSEAD, and from that day, it's been inspiring me. So I'd like to talk a little bit about SCALITY, how we came about, and how this book is relevant to us. And you know, you've asked me to be a little bit of a mentor, and as much as we have still a lot to learn, SCALITY has already made quite a few steps, and I think that we also have a little bit of advice to offer. SCALITY came about in 2009. And the story of SCALITY is that we started the company because our customers from our previous company were asking us to develop something for them. So we started with a market. We started with customers. We knew that there was a need. And the way they described it at the time is these were telecommunication operators all around the world: Orange in France, SFR, Comcast in the US, Telstra in Australia, SoftBank in Japan, all over the world. They were saying, eventually, Google's going to be our competitor. And Google attracts the consumers because they can store a lot of information for the consumer very reliably at a very cheap cost. And we, the operators, we cannot do that. Could you develop a software that would be something like a storage router that would allow us to put data on standard servers and be able to store loads of data at a very cheap cost? And me being a salesman, my initial reaction was to say yes, and to turn to our technical department and to say, I'll sell it. Please find a company that does that. We'll just integrate it, put a cover on top of it, and resell this and take the margin. At the time, my R&D department looked at several companies, and they came back and said, what your customers are asking does not exist. If we want to sell it, we need to create it. Obviously, at first, I didn't believe them. But we looked at several offerings, and I understood that for some of them, there was a company at the time called Parascale. They had the right marketing pitch, but they had the wrong technical design. So they were doomed to fail. And they did fail a couple years later. Another company, MaxiScale, had an amazing marketing pitch, maybe the right design, but was talking to the wrong customers. They were talking to customers that it was obvious would want open source and were not ready to buy for commercial offer. And at that time, we realized that we knew we had a market because customers were asking for that. We had a relationship with customers who wanted to pay. And we had the ability to develop the technology because we knew about scaling infrastructure on the internet. So that's how we decided to create SCALITY. We had all this. But what we did not have is the words to communicate it. And the words didn't exist at the time. In 2009, Amazon Web Services already existed, but no one was talking about cloud. Cloud really started as a buzzword in 2010. When we started the company, obviously we wanted to raise funds. So we signed a few customer contracts. We had some seed money from our previous investors, and then I wanted to raise funds. And to raise funds, the first question that was asked from us is, okay, what's your market? Could you tell us your market size? And this is when we realized that all analyses that were published were completely useless. The framework that the competition was thinking about was not the framework of the future. And all of the analysts are essentially colliding with existing vendors, reinforcing their message. And there was no creativity in the framework. So this is when we actually looked at the Blue Ocean strategy, thinking to be able to create a new framework. And in 2010, we started advocating that the storage industry was about to change and to describe it with new words and really completely rethinking from what do customers want, what matters for them, what is going to be the value chain, because the value chain is completely disrupted by the fact that storage, which if you look at analysts, storage is a subcategory within the hardware category. We sell data storage systems and we sell software. This is a nonsense in traditional analysis. It's a complete disruption of the value chain. Now data storage is a software problem. And so we had to recreate essentially all of the structure to think about the market, and the leadership team at SCALITY did that. And it took a couple of years to actually really understand for ourselves, doing everything from scratch. And it really took another couple of years to convince the analyst community that the new framework made sense. And for all this time, we knew we were right, but it was very difficult to communicate our value proposal. And this is the thing that I would like to say to the younger companies that are going to look at Blue Ocean strategy. The framework is absolutely awesome. I've applied it several times in my life. But the one thing that you need to really pay attention to that maybe is not stressed enough in the book is how tempting the red ocean is. Everyone, and René just talked about this in her opening remarks a few minutes ago. Everyone around you will be talking about red ocean because the words, the language exists to describe the red ocean. Also because the red ocean is already making billions of dollars of revenue. And the blue ocean doesn't exist yet because you're creating it. So at the beginning, the blue ocean is 1 million, 10 million, $100 million of revenue, which seems very much smaller than the red ocean. But if you're right, if your blue ocean, you really understood how the value chain is going to be disrupted, how the customer needs are going to be disrupted, the blue ocean will grow, the complete blue ocean, and the red ocean as an ocean will decrease in size. So be careful of the temptation of the red ocean. In our case, we were very many times tempted to deliver an appliance because that's what people talk about and customers think that they want an appliance because purchasing department talk in terms of storage being hardware. But the strategy, there's absolutely no doubt, the future of storage is going to be software, and the future of many things actually is going to be software. And sticking to our strategy, sticking to the analysis is really difficult when the temptation of the red ocean is here. So these are the few words of wisdom that I wanted to share with you. But again, we're very honored to receive this award, and especially meaningful for us because we have been using the framework. Thank you.
Merci Jérôme.